represents the surface of life. Surface. And we see surfaces, surfaces. And about 300 years ago, scientists, they started wondering, what was this wood, and what was this metal, and what was it really? So they start looking into matter. So this side is matter, and this side is mind. Mind and matter. And the scientists, well, they discovered molecules. Deeper they went, and they discovered these atoms. And like I say, they thought that was the smallest particle for a long time. All these things we learn about in school. They went deeper, and they find inside the atoms these little electrons and neutrons and protons. And they went deeper and deeper and deeper, smaller and smaller particles, smaller and smaller particles. They found 4 forces. On a deeper level, the 4 became 3. And on a deeper level, the 3 became 2. And then, about 30 years ago, modern science, quantum physics, discovered the unified field. The unity of all the particles and all the forces of matter, of creation. Not only did they discover the unified field, but they found that everything that is a thing emerges from this field of no thing. Unmanifest it is. Unmanifest. It is no hyphen thing, but all things come from it. Anything that is a thing has emerged from this field of unity. It's oneness. The scientists know this exists, but if they wanted to get there, you can't get there. It's unmanifest. You can't walk into this field. But any one of those scientists could practice a technique, transcendental meditation, which, remember, true happiness is not out there. You're given a mantra, a very specific sound, vibration, thought. Very specific. It needs to be life-supporting at all deeper levels. And that mantra that you're given, that Maharishi gives, the key that opens the door. The mantra turns the mind within, turns the awareness within, and you naturally dive. Why is it natural? Because each deeper level of mind and each deeper level of intellect has more happiness. And the deeper levels of mind and deeper levels of intellect correspond to deeper levels of matter. At the borderline of intellect, you transcend. Transcend is the key word. It means to go beyond. You're going beyond field of relativity, duality, experiencing oneness. Pure, unbounded, infinite consciousness. This consciousness has qualities: infinite creativity, intelligence, energy, love, power, and bliss. Dynamic, always been there, never had a beginning. It is, and it will be forever. Unbounded, infinite, eternal, immutable, immortal consciousness, fullness. Any human being can experience this easily and effortlessly with Transcendental Meditation. Transcendental Meditation is just a vehicle to get you here. When you experience this level, you enliven it, and it grows in the individual.
Hey, what's up? We back today with another one, and we'll be talking about this blue sun that everybody been seeing in the sky. All over the world, people are witnessing the same stuff. You have to look directly behind the sun in order to see this. So you guys must understand that a blue star is a new star. The blue stars have the highest temperature and the highest density level out of all the different stars. You guys have to understand that the sun is a star, and the star is a sun also. So now we have two suns in our sky. The blue sun is letting off higher frequencies than our original sun. This is also us jumping from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. These new frequencies are benefiting us in positive ways. They are altering and upgrading our genetics. These new upgrades literally turn us to superheroes, and they know it. You have 97% of your DNA locked, but this is the key to unlocking it. They know that these energies were coming, and they set up 5G towers. These 5G towers, they let off alpha waves, and that is extremely low frequencies that destroy the body and the brain. So they are literally trying to fight against this new energy that is coming in, and this new energy is trying to help you. They even put this stuff on the credit cards, two suns. They knew when a new energy came in, this would destroy their money system. The Hopis was one of our native tribes, and they called this blue sun the blue star Kachina. And they said that this star will symbolize the coming of a new world. The elders say that the blue star will come and purify those who need help. And then the red star will show up. This is his brother. But the red star represents destruction, and it will destroy all those who are wicked and evil. I want everybody to know that the blue star is here, and we are in the time of purification. The Hopi say that this star will show itself at the end of a cycle, and we are at the end of a Piscean age going into the Aquarian age. It's also a coincidence that we are in the heart chakra going up to the throat chakra, and the color for the throat chakra is blue. Also, I don't know if a lot of you guys are familiar with Andre 3000, but he just released a new album, and it's called The New Blue Sun. He's not saying a word on this album. He's just blowing his flute. But this flute that he have is like a magical flute. This is like two flutes in one, and he understands the science of it. This flute let off a high frequency that can heal the body and the mind. It's critical that you understand the frequencies that you are listening to. So to wrap this lecture up, yes, we have two suns in our sky. Our blue star family is here to help us. We are still in the healing process. But soon, the red star Kachina will be here as well, and we will have three suns in our sky. And this new red sun, it will take out all those who aren't ready. I hope y'all like the lecture. Peace and ashe, guys.
Blocking out the sun actually help reduce the temperature down here on Earth. Let me show you what I mean. For instance, you could have material pumped into our stratosphere. That material could reflect the sun's rays or solar energy all the way back to the sun, meaning that we down here are kept cooler.
Bill Gates thinks of himself as God, in control of the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. But that doesn't stop Harvard University. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
The White House announced it was funding a 5-year research plan with about something called geoengineering. They want to do is basically block out the sun by spraying aerosols into the stratosphere, to reflect sunlight.
I call this enemy the sun. Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out.
Good God.
Imagine it, Smithers. Electrical lights and heaters running all day long.
But, sir, every plant and tree will die. Owls will deafen us with incessant hooting. The town sundial will be useless. I don't want any part of this project. It's unconscionably fiendish.
I will not suffer your insubordination.
Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
So let's talk about the Anunnaki, all right? This video just recently surfaced where this guy discussed the Anunnaki. Now, I expressed that they here already, all right? They here. Once in a while, this ancient astronaut race revisit this planet to kind of see how far we came along technologically. Nonetheless, they were in Iran, these Russian soldiers, basically, and they were seeking out ISIS troops. They were in this trench, and they eventually got the ISIS troops to surrender, okay? They were made light work of the ISIS troops. They started to hear this Morse code sound, this beeping, okay? This sound like ancient Morse code is what they indicated. So they start to follow the sound pattern. As they begin to follow the sound pattern, they end up running into this ancient humanoid Anunnaki race, and they were heavily armed with plasma technology, plasma beams. The Anunnaki obliterated this Russian military. Now, this isn't the first instance of Anunnaki actually running into some Russian soldiers. Now, this guy came out and actually spoke of it. This gentleman here, he was unalived. Okay, he had an interview with this individual, and he was basically exposing everything that transpired with how the Anunnaki were speaking with Putin and things of that sort, and just the Anunnaki basically was trying to negotiate with Putin in reference to leaving him alone or whatever the case may be. And for whatever the case may be, Putin didn't want to adhere to it, and the Anunnaki said that they would be back or whatever the case may be. You have to listen to the interview. It's very informative, and it does show you that this ancient astronaut race is here, contrary to what some people think. And a guy in the video stated that the bullets bounced right off the Anunnaki. One thing you have to remember is that this ancient race is about 1 million years ahead of us in technology. To have cybernetic technology, multi-dimensional cybernetic technology that's interwoven in their garments and also in their intrinsic metals that create shields that repel kinetic energy. Bullets and things of that sort bounce right off the Anunnaki. They stated that their skin was a gold to bronze color. And a guy also stated that they were about 5 meters to 15 meters tall, okay? If you do the math on 15 meters, it's going to show you about 49 feet tall, okay? Which means that these beings were giants that they encountered. Some of them were 5 to 15 meters tall. They were giants, okay, basically, that they encountered. Heavily armed, high technologically advanced giants, I may add. A lot of these entities are underneath the earth, okay?
For many years that Russian forces have had skirmishes with them, and after some time Russia did develop weapons that could either kill or wound Anunnaki. At the closing of our last conversation, you said an Anunnaki emissary approached President Putin with an ultimatum. I'd like to start right at that point. Do you remember what was the ultimatum?
Yes, like I said, this villainous race has ability to instantaneously transport from one location to another via a nexus of portals that only they can see. Anunnaki appeared near the MOD and demanded to speak with President Putin. I am foggy on some details, but what I know is this. Arrangements were made between Putin and Anunnaki to meet at Putin's mansion on the Black Sea coast near the village of Paraskovivka. At this meeting, the Anunnaki delivered the ultimatum: leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, or else perish with the rest of the world.
Wow. So what you're essentially saying is that the Anunnaki offered Putin peace in exchange for, shall we say, agreeing to participate in a non-intervention agreement?
Something like that, but it's much more shocking. The Anunnaki told him that in exchange for not interfering with their plans, they would leave Russia alone and not even set foot on Russian soil without explicit permission. The Anunnaki also said they would tell Putin how to survive Nibiru passing through the solar system. On the other hand, if Putin refused to offer the offer, the Anunnaki said Russia would be the first to fall and its people would be enslaved and taken as food.
Holy smokes. Assuming that to be true, it's hard to imagine why Putin declined such a, being facetious here, a generous offer. Wow. Why would Putin deny that?
Because Mike Putin does not trust them. He may be an optimist, but he is not stupid. He figured that the Anunnaki would dishonor any agreement. These creatures are devilish and manipulative. So Putin told them to go away. We do not want you here. He told, leave the planet and never come back. You know what the Anunnaki told him?
No, but I'm hoping you'll tell me.
The Anunnaki said to Putin, Earth is our planet, not yours. We are the ones who seeded the Earth with strands of life. He said that they grew all life on Earth. As in a giant petri dish. Humans, the Anunnaki said, belong to them, just as your mother's chicken belonged to her.
Wow.
So, every 3,600 years, give or take, they return to harvest.
Harvest what?
Us. We are little more than food and slave labor for them.
Oh. Theological repercussions aside, that is a frightening thought to comprehend. How did the Anunnaki respond to Putin's answer?
The Anunnaki said, you've been warned, and left.
And yet, no massive Anunnaki force has invaded Russia.
At least not yet.
One thing I really don't understand. If the Anunnaki have the ability to instantly travel anywhere they want using these portals, I mean, why haven't they just sent a brigade of soldiers into Moscow? If the Anunnaki who wanted to speak to Putin showed up at the MOD, obviously they must have these portals in Russia already.
For every answer we know, there are two we do not. It is possible the gates can accommodate only a certain number of Anunnaki before needing a recharge. We just don't have all the answers, but keep in mind that Anunnaki do not just attack military, they work behind the scenes. Evil machinations with human beings corrupted by Anunnaki's sinister agendas. If they can infiltrate government positions and influence law, they need not show up with guns blazing.
Fascinating. Does Putin believe right now, does he think that the Anunnaki have infiltrated the Russian government?
No. But he believes other nations have been compromised.
What nations, for instance?
For instance, yours.
Putin believes the Anunnaki have infiltrated the White House?
Not sure about now, but under Obama administration, many Anunnaki roamed the White House corridors. I really don't have more information on that.
Well, interestingly enough, you're not the first person to make such a suggestion. I haven't heard about the Anunnaki infiltrating the White House, or others have talked about another race called the Reptilians, but we're not going to go there right now. Let's step in a different direction. According to you, Russian forces have clashed at least 6 times with the Anunnaki, resulting in many deaths on both sides. Where is the photographic or video evidence of the engagements? People like me and others who report on this topic, we take huge hits to our credibility because we don't have that hard evidence. I'm sure it must exist in an era where Big Brother watches everything, where soldiers have body cameras. So there should be footage or pictures of these Anunnaki or Anunnaki corpses. What do you say to that?
Yes, Mac, I realize this is a big problem. Any footage is classified at the moment at most secret level. Even I have not seen it. Does it exist? Probably yes. Keep in mind that lack of thereof also affects my credibility. Yeah,
you see that.
I spare what I can. As to corpses of Anunnaki, there are none. The Anunnaki biology is most strange. Their insides contain a corrosive bile that at the time of death literally dissolves both endo and exoskeleton. Only skulls have been known to survive this process, and photographs of Anunnaki head bones on the internet.
All right. And I have seen photos on the internet that, of elongated skulls that many say are Anunnaki. But digressing, I've known you for many years, and I absolutely believe that you're given the best possible information to which you've been exposed. However, as a journalist, I have to question everything. You've mentioned Anunnaki use plasma-based weapons and energy spears, and that their bodies liquefy at time of death. Now, these are conventions of 2 popular American science fiction franchises, specifically the Predator and Alien series, respectively. It seems a bit convenient that...
Yo, alright, I just want to give y'all something to think about real quick. So the Antarctica Peace Treaty was signed in Washington, December 1st of 1959. Which then, there were only 12 countries that signed the peace treaty. Supposedly, the purpose of the treaty is that Antarctica never becomes battleground for no warfare. No military warfare or no military bases can be established here, so that freedom of scientific investigation can continue. And that if you are one of the countries that are active and a part of this peace treaty, are free to do scientific research with no restrictions or limits. Also says that scientific discoveries and results found from data in Antarctica can be released and freely accessed by the public. I just got one question. If we not mentioning Operation High Jump or the Germans occupying Antarctica with Base 211, the fact that military bases still occupy Antarctica to this day, and did when they all signed the treaty originally December 1st of 1959. The fact that they said that any scientific discovery or research that is found from any of these countries can be released to the public, let's be real, that's not true. Honestly brings me to my next point. What is the true purpose behind the Antarctica Peace Treaty? And if you want to add to it, original date of the peace treaty signing, there were only 12 countries that signed. At present, there are 54 countries that are a part of the Antarctica Peace Treaty. This thing, and remember, I'm just using all logic. There's literally some countries on this map behind me that if they were placed in the same room, things would not end well. When you think about it, under what circumstances can you get all of these countries to agree on one thing? It make you think, don't it?
Over the ice wall, over the continents. That's the secret of Antarctica. I feel like creators, the aliens, the reptilians, is where
and you see every country there, they're doing some type of research. It's a no-war zone. And also, whose research facilities down there? A place that is not a country. It's called the Rockefeller Foundation. They have their own research facility down there as well. What are they researching? Who are they researching? Who are they talking to? You got to remember, Buzz Aldrin from the Apollo missions. He was down there a few years ago, and something scared him. He actually made a tweet that said, "We are facing the ultimate evil." So something that he saw down there with what they were doing, who they were communicating with, gave him the inkling that we were facing something very evil. And he tweeted that, and then they rushed him out of there and they made him delete the tweet. But by then, millions of people had already screenshotted it. It was too late. And they said, "Oh, he's just sick."
Now pay attention as we turn the flat earth map into a globe. Pay attention to the continents. They are still positioned north, east, west, and south. And take a look at the ice wall. What's it become when you turn it into a ball? It becomes the Antarctica. And if you notice, it's south of all the continents, just like the ice wall is south of all the continents on the flat earth map. And therefore, you cannot tell the difference. The only reason that you believe what you believe is because that's what you have been taught to believe without questioning it.
Columbus was a black Jew.
His name is not Columbus. His real name is Salvador Zarco. That Christopher Columbus was known as a quote-unquote Marrano. The Marranos are those that were forced to convert to Roman Catholicism, that were Sephardim. And
Jews are divided into Sephardim and Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi Jews are Khazarian, making them Jews by religious conversion through their prince Khosar, and not by blood like the Sephardim, descendants of the original Jews. As for the Sephardim, they were black, just as the original Jews. So if Columbus was black, what does that mean for the colonists who came to the Americas?
So as I told you before, the unseen hand is the hidden hand, and the hidden hand is the black hand, and the black hand is the black nobility, right? So all throughout ancient history, all they did was a bait and switch. They did a bait and switch and gave you the false perception of Europeans being in power when really it's the black nobility who are black faces, right? So right here, you're looking at Charles V was actually a swarthy man, right? So all they did was a reverse of frequency, right? Inverted knowledge. In analogy and microbiology, you will know that you get the recessive from the dominant. You don't get the dominant from the recessive. So that you have to understand that they got their concepts and ideologies of white supremacy from black people who was already on the planet way before them, because they wasn't created until 4086 BC, right? So now we're going to get into some theological context, because all this is basically prophetic, right?
Incredible confirmation that a reptilian race from another world has been behind the manipulation of humanity for a very, very long time. Now, what do these Chitauri actually look like, the reptiles?
I'm not a good artist.
You're better than me, that's for sure.
But this is how we believe the Chitauri look like. They were created in this, you see, sir.
Incredible